So bring her back. Eagerly awaited horror film from brothers Danny and Michael Phillipou. It is in cinemas here in the UK on 26th of July. So, directed by Danny and Michael Phillipou, who brought us Talk to Me. We reviewed that recently, Dan, because that came out on Blu-ray, so it's had a 4K release. This, again, has been written by Danny Phillipou and Bill Hinsman, who wrote Talk to Me. The previous film really did feature a lot of fairly unknown actors. This time around, they got a bigger budget, obviously, because the Talk to Me movie just made so much money at the box office. So, Sally Hawkins stars. Big fan of Sally Hawkins, got to say from the offset, for saw her in Mike Leigh's All or Nothing, and then, of course, she was in Vera Drake and Happy Go Lucky.
Yeah.
In this, I have to say, we're probably going to do spoilers because I think it's difficult to talk about this film without semi-spoilers. I mean, nothing major, but if you haven't seen the movie and you don't want spoilers, turn it off and come back once you've seen the film. But yeah, after seeing this, I'm not sure I like her anymore because I normally love her.
I've seen some really nice interviews with her about this, actually, and the fact that she doesn't normally do horror. But she said that she just couldn't resist the writing of it. But I think most people know from Paddington. There's almost times I'm like, I really want this to work out. I kind of like if she could become likable, or just switch it up a bit.
So she plays Laura, who's a grieving mother. Let's just briefly talk about the story. So it's a brother and sister uncovering a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother, who is Sally Hawkins' character, Laura. That's probably all we need to say about the story for the moment, because it does go into it pretty quickly. I mean, Dan, this was something you mentioned, and this is the reason why I said, we're probably going to talk about spoilers, because her characteristics unravel pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I think when we spoke about it, I think I'm sort of still in the same camp that I almost wish it had been slightly more of an unraveling, because it almost made me think, well, why did no one spot this before? Because it felt like she'd got a bit of a reputation as being a foster mum and had done this a number of times. And yet, if I was one of those two kids, if I was the brother, I would have been like, we're leaving, this is weird. Within the first hour, this is odd, this is off, we're not staying here.
I totally agree with what Dan says, that she should have been sweet for a lot longer in the intro, so you kind of believe her and the kids would kind of trust her more. And then she starts to unravel and become crazy, and then it's too late. Not too late, but they're really in it at that point. Also, one of the features is that of the two kids, there's the brother and the sister. The brother is supposed to be 17, and he has a car. I wish he didn't have a car because they would feel more stranded out in this house in the woods. But if he has a car and they felt some kind of danger, they could have just gotten in his car and driven away and never come back. It's they have these options to get out, but they don't use them, which is ugh.
That's a good point, because it's one of those moments in horror that I usually kind of eye roll a little bit. I didn't so much with this, but I do think, you've had these opportunities. Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you get away? Why didn't you drive off? And with this, I didn't really feel that, because I felt like they were, I don't know, quite patient with her in some respects. I think because they probably wanted that comfort and they probably wanted to be looked after. So maybe that's the reason why. Because I think, from a story point of view, I think, they're smart storytellers. And I think they do think about what, frightens you. And it's usually something to do with how you feel in a situation. With Talk to Me, it was very similar, the group of friends, you're scared by their reactions to things. They're filming people on their mobile phones, which is quite a freaky thing when something scary is happening. You wouldn't want people to do that. So I think it's similar with this. And I think maybe that's the reason why. Because I didn't really have a problem so much with Sally Hawkins' character being quite scary from the start, quite soon.
I just didn't quite know whether this had happened before, or because obviously she'd been working with social services. They knew her, she was quite entwined with them. They were like, oh, she's an amazing counsellor, but it felt weird that no one had sort of thought, hang on a minute, there's something going on. Or did they not know that she'd had a bereavement, and it was just maybe a few unanswered questions about that, which I don't know, made it feel a bit a bit unearned later on.
Yeah, I think it's a fair comment. So the story begins with them, or you find out that they have found their dad in the shower. He's died in the shower. So that's why they go to live with Laura, Sally Hawkins' character. And then obviously there are other people that help them in the situation that come to the house. We have had the darkness in Talk to Me. In this, I think it's pretty violent and it is quite disturbing, I think, this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess, there is a sense as well that she's treating the son a certain way because she's trying to manipulate him, and maybe that's just how life is. Maybe life is messier, and people can't hide they're kind of crazy from the beginning. Like, that's just who she was, and she was unsubtle. And yeah, maybe she was trying to learn this ritual, and she was trying to make something happen out of desperation. So maybe that does explain why her character wasn't able to kind of temper that, because she was almost desperate to like get to that point pretty quickly. Like, I want this kid needs to go so I can isolate her, and I'm just going to be awful to him from the start. Maybe they were looking for perfection when actually like people are messy, like in that respect.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think her backstory, obviously is very significant to the plot and where it goes. I think it's quite interesting because there are connections.
Maybe she was this stable, amazing woman until her daughter died, and then maybe I haven't seen actually what that's done to her mentally to get to where she is now. Or maybe there's a sense of time that I didn't really get. Like, how long ago did her daughter die? Was it like in the last few months? Was it years ago? Yeah. I didn't quite get that.
Were you freaked out by this, Matt? Were you disturbed like I was?
One of the things that is really great about the film and great about the filmmakers, the directors, is that casting Sally Hawkins was absolutely perfect. Because in almost everything I've ever seen her in, she plays this really sweet, nice, loving, kind of like gentle person. Yeah. So going into this, you think that's her because you've seen her act that way for 20 years. And she's obviously that's to rope people in. And then she's secretly evil or wants to do terrible things. But you've already been roped in to want to be like, oh, she's sweet, it's Sally Hawkins, and then what she's planning to do is really twisted. And so that's the great kind of plot twist of it, is that they didn't cast someone who was an evil crone or something from the beginning. It's like, you feel for this woman, but she's totally off and like something terrible is going to happen, which they kind of it's important, I guess, but literally the first scene of the movie is none of these characters. It's a video of some ritual, like satanic or like dark magic ritual. Something terrible is going to happen. It has to have some kind of connection to the story. And the thing is, I really liked this movie. I think I liked it more than their first film because of Sally Hawkins. There's a deeper emotional weight to the story that there was. I think the first story was also about the main character's mother died, I think, and she's trying to. Yeah. It's interesting that both these movies are trying to have people talk to people or connect with people who are dead.
Because it's like the emotional part of family and friendship, isn't it? Which I think they've tapped into quite well in both these films. The sadness, because there's a real sadness to this film, particularly towards the end.
Oh yeah.
And I think they deal with it brilliantly. And I think it comes down to the main two characters, the brother and sister, brilliantly played, I think. Billy Barrett, who plays Andy, who's obviously traumatised 17-year-old. And the sister, Sora Wong, who I think was brilliant in this. And I found out today that she had only acted once before in a school play. So this is her first film. And I really felt for her. And I kind of had this inkling that she was going to be the real strong character here, the real kind of linchpin, I guess. It's great that she is in real life as well. She's visually impaired in real life. So representation, I think, big time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think that's how they ended up being. They casted her because they were looking for someone with a visual impairment, and there was a casting call for it. I think that's how it came about. So, no,
she did great. They were both excellent.
I thought they were both really good. I think they really drove the kind of the heart of the movie when you are going into like Sally, like her character is so kind of immediately like present. They brought that bit of depth to it. The bit I really quite liked, which I kind of sympathised with on it. There was that whole sequence after the funeral where she got them drinking, and there was something so kind of unhinged about it, and yet something so loving about it because it was kind of like
the weird thing. That's what I was going to mention to you, because I was going to ask you both whether you felt the same. I felt really torn between liking Sally Hawkins' Laura character and also really hating her and really thinking she was the most evil person, but then kind of trying to understand where it came from and thinking, okay, well, I do feel in the middle. And that was really tormenting me, because I cared for the main two characters, the brother and sister, as well. So I felt...
I agree with you, right? Because there were just moments where you're like, absolutely not this woman. Like there's that whole sequence at the funeral where she's like, you have to kiss your dad, because otherwise, like,
so weird.
Like, it's just so unhinged. And then that drinking scene, I'm like, that's relatable. Like, if these two kids are like, we want to get hammered, our dad's just died, I'd be like, do you know what? Let's just do it. Like, I don't care. Like, and it was really loving and human. And then by the end, I hated her. I wanted her out of it. And then again, it goes back to being quite sympathetic again at the end. So it was like this. It was like a bit of a journey.
It's interesting that Sally Hawkins' character, only surrounds herself with children. Like, so she tries to connect. She should be talking to adults about the situation, but she only talks to children about it.
I felt that sadness. I felt I could understand why she was behaving the way she was, but then she was quite extreme, and she was very damaged and very, very aggressive and very violent.
As much as it was sad what had happened to her, those kids had nothing to do with it, and she was using them as a complete shell to get what she wanted.
One thing that we haven't talked about yet, speaking of good child performances, is the other child in the story, her other foster child that is crazy, and we haven't touched that yet. That kid was probably, I don't know, like 8 years old or something. I'm not good with kids' age, 8, 9. And the stuff they made that child actor do was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, even more crazy than, like, Linda Blair in The Exorcist.
Oh, my God. It's a really good point, though, because kids in films, I think, can really switch me off believing those characters. And I didn't get any of that with this. I felt like I was really sucked in.
I thought that character, I mean, I guess we're not even saying, he's another foster child of Sally Hawkins, who's mute through most of the film and acts very strangely. That was also an incredibly unsettling part of...
Oh my God. That one scene in the kitchen.
The melon.
Oh, yeah. Something with
I was watching it with Jeremy,
there,
and Jeremy hates anything violent. He hates horror. And at the end of it, he's just like, no, I did not enjoy that at all. And I was like, that was brilliant. He's like, no.
It's one of those films,
right?
I think my thing with it is like, I don't think this is a film I would ever go back to. And it's a real thing about horror of like, did I enjoy it or did I not? Did I not enjoy it because it was just hard to watch? Did I not enjoy it because it was bad?
Because you thought they were taught to me as well, didn't you?
Yeah, like
it's quite dark. Both these films are quite dark, I think.
And there's not necessarily films I would rush back to rewatch because they're just. But then again, Hereditary, I would watch that over and over again because I just love that film, and it's similarly dark. I don't know what it is about Hereditary that would pull me back, but I don't know that I'd want to revisit this again because it just was it was like unrelentingly bleak.
I think there's enough flourishes though to keep it entertaining in a kind of cinematic aspect, because I mean, just one thing that I always remember, one scene that always comes to mind is Laura when she's at the window and she draws that circle, because obviously circles is very significant to the whole ritual thing, and she draws that circle with bloodied hands on the window, and that was really good. The way the camera moved with her as well, it's really memorable, and it's a real art, I think, to do something that's a bit distinctive and looks different to what other horror films are doing.
I mean, these boys are amazing at filmmaking. I mean,
they are
film.
Yeah, I agree with Dan what you're saying about the filmmaking is really fantastic, but it's a movie I don't really want to watch again. Not because it's bad; it's really good. It's really well done, and this is only their second film. I'm sure they'll make more great films. They're just really, really bleak. And they seem to be, I think I read somewhere that they're all supposed to be in the same cinematic universe.
Yeah, that makes
sense.
Even
though the stories are not connected. Because there are 2 stories in a row about trying to connect with someone who's already dead through some kind of like weird ritual, magical means.
I mean, one thing I found, I I think I messaged you, Phil, after I saw it for the first time. I was like, I'm not sure. It was okay. I didn't love it. I watched then a couple of videos of it, explained it more, and I'm not smart enough for some of these films. Sometimes I'm like, that just went over my head. There were quite a lot of layers and symbolisms and things that I missed that I wouldn't mind now going back and rewatching it on that basis, just to go.
I'll definitely see it again.
It clicks more the second time around, and there are things that didn't immediately make sense. I'm like, now that's why I get now why that was happening and why that character said this or why the character did that. So that would be the rewatchability for me, is to feel like I could get it more, because there's so much depth to this film. There's loads of like symbolism that you wouldn't necessarily click onto straight away.
I think the violences here are pretty intense. I think it feels like to me that the brothers are pushing a little bit more, and I think they wanted to go one step further with the intensity, because I think Talk to Me had that. I mean, I remember being quite shocked when I first saw Talk to Me. I thought, wow, I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised, because I thought, like I said to you, Dan, in our review, I thought it was going to be quite cliched and, you know, that typical possession movie. And I think in the wrong hands, it's done really badly. I think they did such a good job with it. And I think I did like this a little bit more, like you, Matt. I think this was more memorable than Talk to Me. There's a lot more memorable scenes.
Yeah, it's richer. There's more depth to it, more layers to it. And, I mean, the acting in the first one I think was fine, but Sally Hawkins is like an multiple Oscar-nominated actor.
She's amazing.
Actress, and you just feel how good an actor she is. Just in all the emotional monologue scenes talking about her daughter and about how that's affected her life is like, this is not amateur horror movie filmmaking. It's really strong.
These brothers, they totally understand the genre and they totally understand filmmaking, because I think they started in the Babadook, didn't they? Which I think actually it has a similar feel to this. I think it's obviously more intense and more violent.
Right? Oh, I think you meant they directed it. I don't think they directed that, but they might have worked on that film. Yeah.
No. It was Jennifer Kent, wasn't it, that did the Babadook? But I think that was their first film that they worked on together.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
And they also didn't they do short films and put them on YouTube, and that's kind of how they got discovered enough to make a feture film.
Was that Raka Raka?
Funding.
Waka Waka. Yeah. What was it called? Raka Raka.
I don't know what it is. I think it's a prank channel. Apparently, like someone said that you would never think that those boys would come up with something so kind of deep and thoughtful. And I think that's what their films have, just got a real emotional layer, which is weird for two quite hyper Australian Greek guys. Like
they are very hyper. I mean, that Talk to Me Blu-ray release, the interviews, they're really captivating. Like they're really interesting to listen to, the stories that they tell. But they don't stop. They've got so much energy.
Yeah, and then like you said, like with Talk to Me, I think this was so original. You could kind of compare it to Hereditary in some senses, like. It didn't feel like a Hereditary ripoff. It was just
no, not at all. Yeah, very original. They feel very fresh, their films.
Yeah. And they do their own thing.
Have we all said enough? Are we going to go for a star rating? Is there any more you'd like to say, both of you?
Like really solid. I think we both agree. Just it's a slog. It's not like an easy popcorn Friday night movie.
It does get you. I mean, it does. You feel like you've been put through a ringer.
Yeah. Absolutely that.
Emotionally.
Initial reaction was a bit muted because I'm like, I don't know how I feel about it. I need to sit on it for a few hours and like let it sink in. And it definitely, my experience of it got improved the more I'd kind of sat back on it to think about what it was. Yeah. My initial feeling was like, okay, it was fine. It's got to be a 4. Like I think anything less that would feel really mean. I would have given it was like a 8.5 out of 10 or something on my channel, which we don't do half ratings here. So yeah, I would say 4 out of 5.
I would say 4 too. I was thinking, actually, just like Dan said, when I saw it, I was like, oh, that was good. It was really bleak and crazy. But the more I thought about it, and actually the more we've just talked about this, I'm like, no, this is a 4-star film. This is a really great, deep, emotional, but still a real horror film, really scary, really tense, really gory. So, yeah, I definitely think 4 stars for me.
Yeah, I'm going with you as well. And I agree with everything you said about Sally Hawkins, because, like I said at the start, I love her in films. I think she's a really diverse actress. I think she nails most performances. I don't think I've seen her in anything that I haven't liked her performance. So it's nice to see her doing horror. And I get the impression that she really enjoyed the challenge of it as well? Because, like you said, Dan, you know, we know, I think you both mentioned this, we know her to be a really kind of charming character in a lot of films. So it's nice to see that she's kind of stepped outside the comfort zone and done something bold.
Yeah. And there is a lovely interview with her and the two boys on YouTube. It's only like 5 minutes of how they were just obviously really excited to get her, and they were like, "Oh my god, of all the press interviews we wanted to do, we were so excited to see her again." And there's a real, like, you can just tell that she really loves them as well, and that these two like young Australian men coming to her at this point in her career with this really amazingly written horror film was like such a delight. So that interview, I think, is really worth checking out.
So this film cost 15 million to make. It's made 23 already, so obviously that's just on the. I think it's just American release, isn't it? So far, maybe Australia as well, but UK obviously we're getting it on the 26th of July. So yeah, another money-making movie for them, and I don't know if it's made more in terms of, you know, when you think about how much Talk to Me made, because that was a real buzz, wasn't it, that movie? But it's done well.
Yeah. I don't know if it will. I think it's probably not quite as, it's heavier than Talk to Me, I think. In fact, if you watch both, they're both quite heavy movies, but I think the marketing for Talk to Me was a lot more fun, and actually probably was there were slightly lighter elements to it because it's about a group of young people, whereas this just has no real light. There's not a lot of light and shade, I would say. Like, it's quite unrelentingly bleak throughout, and actually, without spoilers, like, it gets like a lot worse in the last 10, 20 minutes.
The shit hits the fan, is what you're saying.
It
really does.
Oh, good. But I feel like I heard someone mention a slightly different ending, which maybe I think would be better. I can't really say what it is.
It's good to see both of you. Matt, I know you're a very busy man. You've just landed a new job, so I don't know if we're going to be seeing much of you, unfortunately. But you're always welcome here, so cross fingers you'll get a bit of extra time.
Yeah, it's not gone forever. It's just a little bit of a break before I can work the scheduling to be able to do this before I get into the work day for me.
He's having a holiday, folks.
Oh, God.
A Boys on Film holiday.
Just need a break.
It's good to see you, Dan. Lots happening on Nancy Boys, your horror channel.
Yeah, as I said, I've just been doing a rewatch of the I Know What You Did Last Summer franchise. Realised I haven't seen any of those films since they came out in the 90s, and they're all right. They're kind of fun. They're like nonsense, but they're actually better than I remember them being. At least the first one is. So I'm going to be reviewing the new film coming up this weekend. Excellent. Which I'm expecting nothing from. I'm expecting it to be a mid 6 out of 10, and that's all. I won't go into it with any higher expectations than that.
Best way to be. You'll probably love it. You'll come out thinking I went in not caring. Yeah. Well, Bring Her Back is out on the 26th of July here in the UK. Good luck with your job, Matt, and thank you, boys.
Thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Matt.